Notorious Sports Critic, Brent Reid.
Welcome to an all-new Downright Sports. I am your host, the Notorious Sports Critic, Brent Reid. Stuff is falling around me. This is nothing. This is a tight space. Hello, everybody. Welcome to an all-new episode of the show. If you've never heard the show, it is a sports show for sports fans. And basically, you're getting a fan's perspective by the ultimate sports fan. Hold on while I pick this crap up because I'm going to need it later. Wait, because one of the things I don't need for like the next until the last segment. So, if you never heard the show before, well, welcome. And if you want to keep listening to the show, obviously go to DJ Chase Radio. Where? DJChaseRadio.com or download the app on your phone, and you can listen to the show there Monday through Friday from 12 to 1 p.m. Drive time. Well, lunchtime. Let's call it lunchtime. And you can also download the podcast anywhere your podcasts are downloaded. So, why am I holding this basketball? Because this is officially the NBA Con. That's right, kids. We are having the NBA Con. And what is that? Well, it's a way for me to break up the monotony of how I do every show. So this is basically the NBA preview, but I'm going to treat it like if it was Comic-Con. And you know what happens at Comic-Con or Fanatics Fest? Basically, people show up in sports gear. I don't own a basketball jersey yet, but I did want a reason to wear this jersey because it's dope. You know, tangent time. So I got like a lot of sports stuff up there because if you're the Notorious Sports Critic, right, you have to fit the part. So, like, I'm a Yankee fan, I'm a Giants fan, I'm a Jets fan, I'm a Duke fan. Oh, what gave it away? But if you're watching on YouTube, I don't think you get to see. It's Facebook? I think this one, I don't remember which camera this one is. I think this is the Facebook camera. I'm not sure. Yes, this is the Facebook camera. The Facebook camera you can't see up here. The YouTube camera you can see up here. And the alternate camera sees up here. Anyway, where was I going with this? I have a ton of sports stuff that I want to wear, and I have it because I did a show. Believe it or not, somebody commented. I know, it's the comment part that gets you. And they were like, oh, you're an Eagles fan? F them Eagles. I'm like, I'm not an Eagles fan. And another guy was like, yeah, them Eagles. I'm like, I'm not an Eagles fan. And then I wore a Steelers jersey, and it was like, oh, I'm like, I'm not a Steelers fan. Let's calm down, guys and girls, and it was guys. Let them know where are you. It was guys that left the comment, but like, relax. All right, I bought a lot of sports stuff because if you're gonna deem yourself the Notorious Sports Critic, if you're gonna deem yourself, well, I didn't deem myself player one. Someone else did. You have to have the clothes to match what you're doing. Thus, this Bills jersey do go hard. I ain't gonna lie to you. The Bills jersey goes hard. And this Dodgers hat, I don't want to wear it while the Yankees are still in the playoffs. But now that they're sitting at home, I'm gonna wear it. Where are we going with this? Oh yeah, NBA Con. NBA Con. So we're gonna have a couple panels at NBA Con. We will have the Dallas panel, the Knicks panel, the Clippers panel, and then the NBA panel, which will have the state of the NBA. Some questions will be answered. Some questions may even be asked. All right, so for the sake of time and for the sake of argument, let's get into it. And let's start with the Dallas panel. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The Dallas Mavericks last season finished 39-43, coming fresh off of going to the NBA Finals just a year before. The team was under a lot of upheaval. Boo. But what happened? They made a franchise-changing move. A move that would rattle the NBA to its core. That's right. That's right. I know you Dallas Cowboy fans out there. Boy, oh boy. Were you not thrown back, okay? Were you not thrown back? So, the Mavericks last season and their general manager, whose name escapes me right now, basically, that's right, Darren. That's right. Go Knicks. That's what I'm talking about. I got a Knicks hat too. But we do have a Knicks panel, and that's coming up. After you, so y'all went behind the curtain. The way I record, I have to use my iPhone to see if you guys leave comments, and so I can reply back because I can't see the comments this far because I'm getting old. Anyway, back to the Dallas panel. All right, the Knicks panel is coming up. Back to the Dallas panel. Dallas made a huge change last year when they traded Luka Doncic, who some said was a generational talent, for Anthony Davis, who once was considered a generational talent. Now, Anthony Davis went to the finals once and won one. Luka went to the finals once and lost one. So Dallas said, we'll go for the guy that won one. The Dallas Mavericks, towards the end of the season, was making actually some moves. And they looked pretty good until Kyrie Irving tore his ACL. It was going to be out for a while. Dallas somehow ends up with the first overall pick. Like, what? They made the playoffs. They were the last team in. And they finished bad enough. The draft is what it is. But we'll talk about that in the state of that's a different panel. Concentrate. Too much cup water. Now, Dallas was able to get this guy, Cooper Flagg, from Duke, he was so coveted. This guy was so anointed. He got to play against Team USA, and he wasn't even in college yet. He was just on the outskirts, cruising the boulevard. But now Dallas is sitting with another generational potential talent. The Dallas team, if you guys are excited, or you're going to see Najee Marshall going into his fifth year, put up 13 points last year. Forward, this is a team. You're going to D'Angelo Russell's coming to the team, going into his 10th season, bouncing all around the league, but a solid guard nevertheless. Then you still got Klay Thompson returning, going into his 14th season. The wily veteran that's bringing the rings to the table. Derek Lively, second, is going to look to have a big season this year. Washington could probably have a big season. But it's Anthony Davis and Cooper Flagg, and how will they play? Because both are forwards. And Anthony Davis is that rare forward that can play and dribble and basically is a better Joel Embiid. Much better Joel Embiid. So, we know Anthony Davis can play without the ball. That's the best part about his game. He can get his points off of rebounds, putbacks. He can get his points on being the guy that they look to on the dish. He can make his points back and score. But the question will be, will Mr. Flagg be able to pick up those pieces? And will Mr. Flagg, coached by Jason Kidd, a guy that knows what it's like to be a top coveted rookie, can Jason Kidd harness this young man, and can this young man basically keep himself enough reserve, not get overwhelmed, where he can be a part of this team and eventually start to find himself taking over the team? Or the flip side is he takes over instantly, and this is the closest thing we have seen probably in our lifetimes, the Magic and Kareem comparisons. The young rookie, highly touted, coming on a team with a veteran center, and now whose team is it? And we're going to find out when the season kicks off just next week. And Dallas has one of the most balanced rosters. If you really look at their roster, 11 forwards, 10 guards. And in the West Coast, that's not bad. You're going to need the big men. But the cool thing about Dallas's team is they are the best version of the new style of NBA. If you look at like Orlando, for example, they have positionless players. They fill out forward and guard, but they have positionless players. And we're going to see if this version, is this the best version of positionless players because Cooper Flagg, we're going to find out, could be that plug-in piece for them. Because one thing about Luka, who does get a lot of assists, Luka needs the ball. He has to have it. Jason Kidd's going to want to move that thing around, and we're going to see how this plays out. How does Dallas fare? I'm not going to tell you just yet. I just won't. I will tell you, though, let me pull this up, because I had it up, and then I lost it. I started writing it down. So, the NBA did a general manager survey, and it had who they had picked to go to where and where to fit. Oh, there it is. So, while I pull that up, give a round of applause for the Dallas panel. That's amazing. That's amazing, the Dallas Mavericks panel. Let's move on to the panel that you all have been waiting for. As I turn the page. As the page gets stuck. If you're listening on the radio, turn the page and it sucks. Hands get dry. My hands get always dry before. Some people's hands get clammy. My hands get dry. Just before the show goes on the air, my hands get extremely dry. I actually have to keep lotion near me, and I have to put lotion on after every segment. It's the craziest thing. All right, now, if you guys move on to the main room, the panel you've all been waiting for, the panel I've been waiting for definitely, is, ladies and gentlemen, the New York Knicks panel. Now, last year, the Knicks finished 51-31, finished right behind Boston and the Celtics, and the Knicks picked up a huge milestone. They beat the Celtics last year to move on and made it to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in over 20 years. Now, they would lose to the Indiana Pacers, and the Indiana Pacers would lose their biggest player in Tyler Hasbro, and then they would lose in the finals. Played a hell of a finals, I will say that. But the Knicks, nevertheless, the storyline last year was, were the Knicks overworked? Did they play too hard? Did their players have too many minutes? Did those minutes finally catch up to them? I don't know how you can say that when a team makes it to the Eastern Conference Finals and basically it wasn't because they played too many minutes. I can tell you they lost in the Eastern Conference Finals because what the Knicks were not able to do that the Indiana Pacers were able to do was move the ball. Now, it worked for the Oklahoma City Thunder. You had a dominant player, but they were able to, if Tyler Halliburton doesn't get hurt, does OKC actually win the championship? And I mean that because the Pacers, with their defense and the way they move, looked fantastic, and everybody on the Pacers got shots. Everybody on the Pacers was a threat. The Knicks, on the other hand, it was Jalen Brunson, and then it was a hope that Karl Anthony Towns would participate because the way the Knicks offense ran pretty much was Brunson will dribble, run the hell out the shot clock, and if he didn't have a shot, look to pass and get rid of it. That does not work, especially in today's NBA. You got to move the ball around. So the Knicks made a move, which is a pretty strong move. They went after Jordan Clarkson, who's been in the league for well over 11 years, and Clarkson's bringing some scoring, but he's also bringing defense. And Clarkson's one of those guards that's a guard/forward. And I don't know if he's going to be in the starting rotation. I'm pretty sure the Knicks starting rotation is going to be Towns, Hart, OG, Brunson, and Bridges. And I like Clarkson coming off the bench for the Knicks, but the biggest question mark for them is Mike Brown is now the new Knicks head coach. The Knicks got rid of Thibodeau after having success, went with a coach that was fired in Sacramento, fired in Cleveland, fired in LA, and yeah, Mike Brown has been to the finals when LeBron James was his player. Since then, has not returned to the finals. Has sniffed it unless he was an assistant manager under Steve Kerr. Now, he is saying they're going to have no plays, which sounds absurd to me. You're just going to play open basketball. That works when you have Steph Curry as your point guard and literally can shoot the ball where? Anywhere on the court. In the case of the Knicks, Jalen Brunson is not the all-world three-point shooter, but Karl Anthony think Towns is. But Bridges can be. And then the Knicks have other guards on this team. So the biggest question mark now is for the Knicks. And this is what I think the Knicks should do as we're here at the Knicks panel. I believe the Knicks need to get Brunson to distribute early, get everybody involved, play a big key on defense. Towns should carry the bulk of the offense. And you kind of do a Shaq and Kobe approach where you feed Towns, you let him get his shots, you let him score big, and then come postseason time, when needed, you know you can activate that Brunson figure anytime. Because the cool thing that the Knicks have is Josh Hart is the dog the Knicks need. Josh Hart is the poor man's Draymond Green. He is that, and I'm using that as an example, but he is that scrappy guy. He's gonna get you those extra rebounds. He's gonna get you the second chance shots. He's big in those situations. OG needs to also be his anchor in that. OG needs to pick up the slack too, because OG offensively, to me, is too inconsistent. And if you go look at his numbers, you're like, oh my God, his numbers look pretty good. Everybody's numbers look good if you play Charlotte 3 times a year, or you like, what are we doing? So if I'm the Knicks, we go Shaq, like we have a form of a Shaq and Kobe in the scenario of Brunson feed Towns, let Towns get his touches, and then the floor will open up. They showed a highlight the other day where the floor looks really open, and that looks really cool in preseason, but you got to see it in action when you're facing the Pacers in April. You got to see it in action when you're facing Cleveland in April. You got to see it in action now that Detroit is a year removed from being the 6th seed, going to the playoffs and kind of being a little disruptive to the Knicks. So, and Orlando's going to be better now. They got Bane, Miami, the Heat, Chicago. But the only team the Knicks may not, Boston's going to be in contention. Brown is not just going to not show up. Brown can carry Boston to a 4 seed. He can. If Jalen Brunson can carry the Knicks to a 2 seed, Brown can carry Boston to a 4 seed. So, question marks for the Knicks. Were they too tired last year? No, I don't think so. I just don't think they had enough good shooters. Too much one-on-one play. If they eliminate that one-on-one, that ISO ball play, you will see a better Knicks team, because defensively they're there. They don't have to change anything. Mike Brown's a pretty good defensive coach. And I don't care if Tom Thibodeau isn't your coach anymore. He instilled that DNA in your blood. I'm smacking my arm for those of you listening on radio. So I really feel like the Knicks have a strong case this year to make a strong move and hopefully get to the finals for the first time since 1999. Jeez, a lot of people have left this planet since the Knicks win. I mean, that could be said for Oklahoma City too, but all right, let's move on to the last team panel, and that's the Clippers. Damn, this panel is old. It's an old panel. It's like a reunion of Ocean's 11 or the Expendables. In fact, that's what we'll be calling the Clippers this year, the Expendables. Let me give you guys an idea. James Harden, 36. Kawhi Leonard, 34. Chris Paul, 40. Brook Lopez, 37. Bradley Beal, 32. There's a collective of over a lot of years. Hold on. 14, 20. We're doing some math here. There's 80 years of basketball on this team just out of those players alone. NBA just celebrated 75th year anniversary like 2-3 years ago. So come on. It is literally more than the league has been around. This Clippers team has more question marks than ever before, and now has scrutiny because of the Kawhi Leonard potentially, getting a little money under the table. We don't really care about that, and at this panel, that will not be addressed here. What will be addressed is last year the Clippers finished 50-32, which was good enough to finish 5th. All right, they finished behind the Nuggets, the Lakers, and the Rockets. This team and these fans have been waiting, on top of waiting, on top of waiting to see if this team can at least just make it to the damn Western Conference Finals, let alone the championship. I feel like with Chris Paul being the last true point guard, and he probably won't start, but if I was Tyronn Lue, I would start Chris Paul, who started every game last year, played all 82 games, and you don't have to play Chris Paul big minutes. You can start him and rest him, but here's the thing. James Harden, I think Harden and Paul played together once before in Houston, if I'm not mistaken. Kawhi Leonard, you know he's gonna take his vacation days. James Harden's gonna get his numbers. But this team needs to, with the age of this team, infuse a lot of the younger players, kind of finish in the same spot you're finishing now. You don't need to bum rush to get to first. Just get in the top four. Get in the top four, you get a home game. And make some noise. And if they, honestly, they got to get past the Thunder. They got to get past the Rockets. They got to get past the Nuggets, Minnesota. But what a veteran team can do is have a very special run. A final run for some of these guys. Because I can't imagine James Harden has and many more years left. Chris Paul's down to his last year. Brook Lopez has got to be down to his last year. The fact Bradley Beal is still in the league is insane and all of itself because he just steals money. But what role can Beal play? He can score. He doesn't have to be the man. In fact, he don't even have to be the third or fourth man. He should just be a contributor. Kawhi Leonard, if Kawhi Leonard at 34 years old can have not an MVP-like season, but a MVP-adjacent season, and Chris Paul can keep the ball moving, they will find themselves in the Western Conference Finals. Now, with that being said, the question mark here is, how much longer do you keep this expensive old-ass experiment together? Because I feel like if I'm Steve Ballmer, and this year, if they can't get it done, adios, all you old guys, and send their ass to the big three. All right, now, let's finish it up. The last panel you all been waiting for, the NBA panel, all right? The state of the league. All right? So, the general managers did a survey, all right? They had 49 questions, and I'm going to go through all of them. 80% of the GMs feel like the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to win the NBA championship again. You know about that. The Cleveland Cavaliers, the Denver Nuggets were tied for 7% of the vote. Houston and the Knicks also got a vote too. Jokic, 67% feel like he's going to win the MVP award. 10% feel Luka is. 8% SGA. 7% to Victor Wembanyama. That's an interesting one. 83% would pick Victor Wembanyama to build a franchise on. And 30% think Amen Thompson will have the breakout season. This is his third year, and last year he scored 14 points. He's going to be teammates with Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's only going to make you better. Maybe. All right, so state of the league. A lot of questions in this league. And one of the bigger questions are the All-Star game and why is it so trash? I feel like the way you should have jazzed it up, and then maybe they've missed it. I know they're going to do this stupid international round robin thing. Stop. The All-Star game is simple. East versus West. All right? But the best way to do East versus West is treat the All-Star game like versus. And no, I know, you're like, well, bro, they did that already. Your team KD. No. I'm not talking about current players. What if you had Team Magic versus Team Bird, and we get to see who they would pick based on who the fans voted on? Or you get Team Michael versus Team AI. Michael Jordan, that is. You can do Team Shaq versus Team Kareem. Dr. J versus Charles Barkley. Fill in the blank, great. What you get with that is you get the trash talking from the greats because they're going to do it because today's player doesn't talk trash anymore because they're too busy hugging and loving. That's why the All-Star game is trash. But maybe the juice from having some of them older players around could spark something. Imagine if you had Team Kevin Garnett and you put that battery in his back versus like Team Paul Pierce. You know what I mean? Like that would be awesome. You got to start doing stuff like that because other than that, just get rid of the stupid game because it's getting there, and it's only because the players just don't want to play. They've made too much money. The bonuses don't matter, and the things like the dunk contest. Like you should not be in a dunk contest if you're not an all-star or even got an all-star vote. The fact that you got G League guys in the dunk contest is insulting to the fans. I'm not trying to watch a contest with a guy I never heard. That'd be like the WWE having WrestleMania and their main event would be an NXT guy versus an Evolve guy. And you're sitting here like, what the heck does that mean? Exactly. All right, that's it for the NBA Con, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for attending. Leave your ribbons at the door. Make sure you pay to get your pictures taken, walk around, do some meet and greets, and at the end, go home and clean up after yourselves. All right, when we come back in the next segment, we're going to discuss the stadium experience and how Major League Baseball can maybe attract fans. Because after I'm gonna get the person who did the report, Major League Baseball is kind of old. It's getting old. Not the sport. Well, the sport is old, but the fans are old. All right, stick around. If you're watching on Facebook and YouTube, we're going to be back. I'm going to take a quick break, go to Black, drink some water, get some lotion. That's a joke. If you're listening on DJ Chase Radio, what we going to throw on? We're going to throw on some Q-Tip. And if you're listening on the podcast, you're just going to go to the next segment. You're going to get a sound click, and we're going to the next segment. Downright Sports, everybody.
Show you my appreciation and let you know how much I love you. I won't get distracted and maybe it's